Good morning. We just got to Mexico yesterday for a few days of spring break and had about a 20-hour day. The first jobs this morning was coffee. I brought my little travel rig, which when I'm not sure what I'm going into, I've got my AeroPress that's just easy in a little bag and my hand grinder. So it makes it easy to kind of walk into any situation and be able to have a decent cup of coffee the next morning. This Hario hand grinder is great because it's got ceramic burrs. It does a decent job of grinding. It's got a couple of limitations to it. One, my dad actually figured out this hack. Took a deli container and made a little topper for it so that when you're grinding the beans, they have a tendency to pop out on you. This is just open, for the stock version. So you're grinding here, these beans have a tendency to just, get all over the place. So Dad figured out how to cut a deli grinder and make it a little lid for it. And then the second limitation is you can see the burrs here. So this is like a set opening, but the only way to adjust it is you got to basically disassemble this whole thing here and do it by eye. So it's going to take me a little bit of trial and error. And that's on there tight. So you got to pull off this guy and take this out, and then I'm gonna go a decent amount fine. This was at a French press setting, so I'm gonna go.
So what are you doing?
So this little guy is threaded, and this is basically regulating how far away these two burrs are from each other. So I've just tightened it up a little bit so it's a finer grind.
Okay.
And then this is a little locking mechanism that keeps it from going any further.
And
so it's a little bit of trial and error. It's not like a home grinder where you've got a number, you can just set it to 7 or whatever. I can just tell by looking at it, it's a much finer grind. With the hand grinder, that means I'm gonna get a little bit more of a workout. I was grinding my dose and I think it took me about 20 seconds on the last one. This is gonna be a bit longer. The finer you go, the more turns it takes to get all the beans through. So AeroPress is a smaller chamber. It's kind of a fun little brewing method here. It's a cross between a French press and a pour over, because we've got a filter, so we're brewing essentially a French press, but then we're pressurizing and putting it through a paper filter. So we get a little bit of the clarity of a pour over, but the kind of extraction of a French press. And there are all kinds of hacks to it as well. I've got a little quote espresso style thing from Fellow that makes a decent shot as well. I just haven't dialed this all in yet, so I want to get it humming first here before I start delving into the other lids yet. But this will only fit about 16 grams of coffee before the chamber fills up, so it's a little bit lighter dose, hence I'm already on second coffee now. And I've got a bunch of these black bags I use for my roast samples. The wife's a decaf drinker, so I've got a couple different ones for her. I'm starting off with Black Magic just because it's a good all-around, it's going to be a little more forgiving if I don't quite have it dialed in yet. Put my lid on, and away we go. That's a much finer grind. I was closer to a French press grind before. To see how this works, I might back it off just a little bit on the next one, but I've got 5 more days of this to get it dialed in and refined. So this is one of those classic trade-offs of convenience versus chasing after the holy grail of delicious coffee. So I went a little bit finer. I was at about 20 seconds. You can hear now the last bean just went through. I was at about 20 seconds for the coarser French press style grind. That was 45 seconds. So I got a good arm workout here. If I'm gonna be paddling with the surfboard later, that I'll be already preconditioned and warmed up.
Cardio.
A little bit of cardio, that smells amazing.
Ooh,
Much finer grind.
Yeah.
So I did bring my scale. But basically scale, AeroPress, and hand grinder, and I can make coffee, really good coffee, just about anywhere. The one thing I forgot was my little Thermapen instant read thermometer, because if I was totally nerding out, I'd be controlling that water temp. But it is a it's a boiling kettle, so it came off. I'm gonna put it to the boil, and then just a few minutes off the boil, it's gonna be in that brewing temp of 195 to 205.
195 to 205. Okay. So you put that in.
So got a little funnel that lets me get all the grinds in. So I'm 16 grams in. I'm gonna do about 225 grams of liquid hot water, which will get me to about a 1 to 14 brew ratio. I'm gonna call that good. Nice even wet here. I will start my timer as I go. You have to be careful here. This is tall, skinny, and top heavy, so just being super careful not to spill boiling water on myself, or just off the boil water, I should say. 225 almost on the nose. Now, critical next step here for AeroPress is you want to give it a little stir with the paddle. Really kind of agitate. So different from French press, different from a lot of the brew methods. This is actually a little shorter brew time, but we are using the paddle to kind of agitate all the grounds and make a slurry of the coffee. Nice creamy head on there. Now I'll take my filter, put it into the basket. It's not much filter relative to the amount of coffee going through, but I do like to actually just pre-wet it a little bit. Just gotta be super careful you don't burn your fingers.
Why are you doing that?
To get the paper to stick to the filter, to get any papery flavors out of the paper.
So what does it look like now?
Now we're pre-wet. Lock that into place. I'm gonna warm up my mug. And we're about 1:50. You know, there's a couple schools of thought on this. One is like a much shorter brew time with really fine grind, you know, somewhere in the 1 to 2 minute range. I kind of like it more like, I think of this like a French press. So classic French press that would do for 4 minutes. Generally at about 3 minutes 30, I'm starting the extraction. So it is a little bit more extraction than because it's happening under pressure. So the thing I'm going to be watching out for is if I get any traces of bitterness, then I'm going to dial back on that brew time, because you know that you think of that plunging, pushing out through pressure is going to act like some extra time in the brewer.
What are you looking at here?
Looking at my timer.
So the scale is also a timer.
I'll split the medium here. So 2 minutes 45, I'm going to start. You can see there's a little air pocket here. That is the pressure. So basically this plunger is it's really the air that is going to be pushing down on the coffee, hence AeroPress. It's a nice, easy movement. If I go too fine, this is a really another workout unto itself, but also you tend to over extract and get too much of the bitter flavors and the undesirable flavors. This feels like a nice extraction. I'm giving probably 30-ish pounds of pressure, nice and even. Now listen here. You can hear that air releasing at the end. That means I've extracted all the liquid out. I'll come back up just a touch so I don't spill liquid everywhere. That is smelling really good. All right, we are much closer dialed in. And then the last step here is I carefully take this off. You can see there's the filter on the grounds. So I'm just gonna push that the rest of the way through over the garbage can or the compost, and I'm My AeroPress just needs a rinse and it's ready to go for the next one. Coffee time. Ready for the day.